Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot possibly defend that which you do not know. Welcome to the third video in my new series exclusively found here on YouTube, where I discuss and go over your Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. In the last two videos, we talked about the First and Second Amendment, and now we are talking about the Third Amendment. One that, honestly, if you're being truthful, do you know what the Third Amendment is? Very few people realize what it is. It's not highly contested. It doesn't end up in the news. The Supreme Court has never cited the Third Amendment as the reason for a decision in the history of ever. It's very uninvolved. But what does it actually say? Well, let's take a look. The Third Amendment says, "No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner prescribed by law." So we have to keep in mind, what was the context in which the Third Amendment was written? Well, our founding fathers had literally just fought a Revolutionary War. And if you remember your history textbooks as a kid, one of the gripes that our founding fathers had was that there were British troops forcibly quartered in their homes. The British, the king said, "You guys have to store my troops whether you like it or not." And homeowners, imagine you're in this situation where you get a knock on your door and somebody says, "Hey, you got to keep these 6 military dudes in your house and feed them and clothe them and all that kind of stuff. Have fun. Bye." Well, obviously that's not very free. That's not very exciting. So our founding fathers had actually lived through that. So they wanted to make sure that a situation, a circumstance like that would never show up again. So they made sure they put pen to paper and wrote into our United States Constitution in the Bill of Rights. They wrote that there will be no quartering of troops in time of peace without the consent of the homeowner. So if some troops knock on your door and say, "Hey, can we stay here?" And you say, "Yeah, sure, come on in." Whole different story than if they knock on your door and say, "Hey, by the way, we're staying here for the next couple of days." Very different. But if you catch that, let's look at the end there again. It says, "Nor in time of war, but in a manner prescribed by law." That means it is technically, constitutionally possible for our government to mandate that you house troops during a time of war as long as it's in a manner prescribed by law, which means Congress would actually have to write a law and say, "Hey, this is the context, these are the scenarios in which you will be forced to quarter troops." But then obviously if they did that and we didn't like that law, we would vote all them suckers out of office. At least that's kind of the idea. But now you understand the historical context, why we have it, and who knows, realistically, are you ever likely going to see an infringement upon your Third Amendment? Probably not, but the world is a crazy, crazy place, and the government seems to be grasping for power wherever they may find it. So it's always good to understand not only the historical context, but just truthfully, what are your rights? And now you know your Third Amendment rights. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stepping in and listening to this explanation of your Third Amendment. Now, stay with me for the Fourth Amendment, because the Fourth Amendment is where you start getting into some pretty exciting stuff. I will see you soon. God bless.